girl.
We're back. Hey, girl. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kendra.
What up? I'm Deja. How y'all doing?
As y'all know, we batch record, and so our previous recording, which I don't know when you're going to see it in context, we had hot toddies, so you're going to benefit from that, but I'm not having another. So
I'm not having another, but I am with the munchies now.
Okay.
So that's what y'all
hear. Yes, Deja's going to snack. I have a controversial Housewives take, and I'd like to present it here.
Oh, shit.
I don't like these integrated casts.
Say more about that.
I don't like them. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm going to tell you why. I feel like, and we can unpack this obviously some more, but I feel like these casts that they're intentionally integrating, so like Salt Lake City, let's set that one aside because it seems like all of those women have been running in the same circle and they actually seem like they are connected and have had some history.
Except for the lady that's about to go to jail.
No, because she was friends with the lady who owns the spa.
Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah, they were friends before because she's had all the work. So I think she gets her work done at Homegirl's spa, her medical spa. So anyways, but these casts that they're forcefully integrating are not, it's doing a disservice to all involved. It's doing a disservice to the white people. It's doing a disservice to the Black people. It's doing, well, Black people first, then the white people. And it's doing a disservice to the audience. It's not fun to watch. It's not educating anybody. It's really just turning into, it's re-traumatizing almost, I would say. For the audience members, especially for the Black audience members, it is re-traumatizing to have to sit there and watch white women gaslight or like turn on the Black women whenever there's an issue, because that's my real life. And I turn on Housewives as escapism. And frankly, part of my favorite part about watching the Beverly Hills, the OC, Housewives, is that it's a bunch of white women arguing and bickering with each other. And leaving us the hell out of it. We don't have nothing to do with it. It don't have nothing to do with us. Let them bicker and argue with each other. But when I feel like they have really, everything now is just like turning on the Black women of these purposely integrated casts. And I present to you as an example, the OC Housewives, right? Mm-hmm. They're an all-white cast except Kelly Dodd, who is...
Kelly thinks she's white too.
Thank you.
Like she said it though.
Yeah, she did. And she's white facing and she's dating like a Fox News commentator. So she's of that ilk. And, but Bronwyn, who is a disaster, let's be clear. Even when she was trying to like educate them on, and she's a white lady, like the whitest white lady, she's up here trying to educate them about Black Lives Matter, about, she has a son who is of the LGBTQ community. I don't know where this son falls on the spectrum. I know, or not on the spectrum, but on the, you know, where they fall. But she's like trying to educate the women and they're not receiving it from a white woman. So I don't know what anybody thinks putting a Black person on a cast is going to do.
Make everybody uncomfortable.
So this past week, so I'll probably put this up next. This past week on the Housewives of Beverly Hills, them hoes ran me hot. And if you follow,
catch me up.
Okay, if you follow us on Twitter, I was over there acting a whole ass fool, okay? A fool, because they ran me hot. So first of all, Erica, you know, is going through all her mess and her drama. And so she and Garcelle were having like a sidebar conversation. And so then Garcelle starts asking her more questions, but in like a bigger setting. And so Erica was like, you know, no, I wasn't comfortable. And Garcelle said something to the effect of like, if it's okay for me to share, and then didn't wait for Erica to say yes or no and just went on to share. And
which is what
Erica was kind of like, well, it wasn't okay. That was a personal moment between the two of us. And now I feel like you're betraying our friendship, but go ahead and have your moment. And so Crystal, who is Chinese, I believe.
Yeah, she's Chinese.
Okay. I don't want to be calling people the wrong, nationality or whatever. But Crystal was kind of like jumping in for Garcelle, like, oh my God, I don't think she knew, because they were all together when Erica was opening up with Crystal and Garcelle, and Crystal was, I guess, back in the car with Erica, and Erica was like, I don't really want to talk about it anymore. And Garcelle wasn't there. And so Crystal was like, I don't think she heard you say it. So I don't think it was supposed to be all that.
Yeah, I saw this, but I didn't know what the hell was going on because I was doing something else.
So that's not the part that really ran me hot. The part that really ran me hot was the fact that they get to this dinner table, and I don't remember who it was. I think it may have been Garcelle or somebody at the table was just kind of like, well, let's all have I want to have a fun dinner. Like, let's have a fun dinner. And somebody brings up the fact that Kathy Hilton said something to the effect of, I don't see color. And I was just like, and Crystal,
I don't know why people say that.
Huh?
I don't understand why people say that.
Me neither. But Kathy's of a particular age. And so I do grant grace for a certain age of person, because, that was the dominating theory at a certain time, was like, I don't see color. Everyone is equal, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's really just now coming around to the whole, like, no, see color, see me. It is super dismissive. But like, there was a time when that was the prevailing thought, right? Sure. So I grant grace to that. But then we have, first of all, Crystal has already had this conversation with them of like, hey, that is not helpful. That is not good. That does not mean what you think it means. She's already had this conversation with them. So then Garcelle chimes in and it's kind of like, what do you like? You can't not see color. I want you to see me. Like, if you don't see color, you don't see me. And Dorit, this is where it went wrong for me. Chimes in and it's like, well, my kids, they, I don't want my children to think that way. And like, they just love everyone. And there are so many brown people in our lives, and starts listing off like the housekeeper and the nanny. And Dorit was just like, are you kidding me? So Garcelle is like,
shut the F up.
So Garcelle is like, are the only people of color in your life the hell? And Dorit is like, no, my mom's best friend is Black. And we're just like, I'm like,
but in your life,
what?
Like your day-to-day life, sis. All the people that are people of color.
Garcelle was just at my house. My kids love Garcelle. And I'm just like, Garcelle is your castmate. Your children don't have any Black or brown friends.
Girl, no, that's what's wrong with these children now. They grow up to be, I'm gonna reserve that. Carry on.
But I will say, it warmed my heart that Crystal and Garcelle are not leaving each other for play. They are not leaving each other outside on a limb. They are going up for each other. And I appreciate that. But then, like, what really struck me is like, okay, Crystal and Garcelle were staying at a hotel. But it was only once they were out of the picture that the remaining white women were finally able to like let their hair down and take shots and have a good time. And I was just like, y'all don't see nothing wrong with this?
Yeah, that's crazy. Just because you let your hair down and have shots or whatever doesn't mean that it can't be that. Like, what is the message that you're trying to send? Like, that's the better question.
Also, why y'all couldn't have shots and let your hair down with Crystal and Garcelle there?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the message you're trying to send? Because by you now all of a sudden feeling like you can be free with each other, what is it about them that makes you feel like you can't be free? But you don't see color.
But you don't. Then let's skedaddle back. I know we've talked about Housewives of New York. I'm going to leave cards to show y'all where we talked about it before, so y'all can go watch that next. But Ebony and Rashawn are like two opposite ends of the spectrum, and I feel like they're trying to give nuance, but it's not working.
It's not.
It's not working. And
Because they're
Ebony and
also of
Rashawn are
different
getting
age groups.
because they are in different age groups, and there's too many different age groups on this fucking cast, to be honest.
That part, because you got Ramona Singer, who's like 102.
So, anyway, Ebony and Rashawn, like, it gave me a visceral reaction when Ebony left Rashawn to deal with Ramona and Sonia by herself. Like,
oh, I didn't see that.
Okay,
I just know there was a point where I saw Rashawn going off and not Ramona. What's the other one's name? Sonia, yes.
Okay, this is the moment. I'm gonna fill you in. So they were at the dinner table, and Rashawn was kind of like, I mean, she had been around for enough little events or whatever. And she was kind of like, y'all a little boring to me. I mean, and they are, to be honest. She was like, y'all a little boring for me. Like, I thought this was going to be some, whatever. And Ramona and Sonia, I think, like, took grave offense to the fact that she said that they were boring.
Ramona take offense to everything.
But Ramona was kind of like, she was like, I got to stay with Rashawn because Rashawn is supposed to be my friend. So I can't leave her here. But like this whole argument ensues, and Ebony leaves Rashawn at the table to deal with Ramona and Sonia arguing with her.
I guess Ebony was like, well, bitch, I've been doing it all season, so.
And then the way they came at Rashawn, it was different from how she came at Ebony, how they have come at Ebony. And Ebony is kind of like, we've discussed this before, of where she is very like, I'm just going to shut things down in advance, which I actually, watching Rashawn and watching how they attacked Rashawn gave me an actual respect for how Ebony kind of went in and was like, look, I'm going to set the groundwork right now. I still think she's a little heavy-handed, but like she kind of was like, look, this is what I am. This is who I am. Don't try it. I'm not for it. Mm-hmm. And I respect that. And so, but they came at Rashawn like, I cannot even explain it, but it gave me a visceral reaction of like, it gave me colorism. It gave me Rashawn, the dark-skinned girl, is like the big black bitch. And that's not what they said, but that was the energy that was coming across. Like they were like railing on her all because she said they were boring. And they are.
I'm at a loss. Like, just because somebody says that you're boring doesn't mean that you need to go from 0 to 1,000. And like those episodes, so like full disclosure, that stuff was playing in the background, but I didn't understand the context because I didn't see what was said. I just remember after the fact, there was a point where either it was another meeting and Rashawn was like speaking but crying at the same time. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell did I miss?
Yeah, so they were having another meeting or whatever and kind of talking about giving her opportunity to like open up a little bit more or whatever. And she was like, no, I didn't mean it that way. It's just like, I want to have fun with you guys. Like, I want to do stuff. Like, I don't want to just be sitting around dinner having these heavy conversations and having these heavy dinners. Like, I'm not interested in that. Like, I thought this was going to be fun. And she was kind of like, Ramona's very fun. So I thought that I was coming into the fold with a bunch of women that are like Ramona, not that I was coming into the fold of boring.
And like, if she thought she was boring, so the fuck what? Like, so damn, it's not that serious. You can prove her wrong if you feel so strongly about it.
Right. It was, I had those were 2 episodes, and I'm behind on rhony. So I watched that episode of rhony and Beverly Hills in the same week and was like, ouch. Maybe y'all should just leave the white women by themselves. Because this is like, I hate to be like hyperbolic, but this feels like violence. And to me, this feels like,
I mean, that's fair.
Very much as a Black woman who has been in the world, it felt very much like these white women don't have a clue, and they're not trying to have a clue, and they don't have to have a clue. Mm-hmm. And so why are we subjecting Black women to that level of scrutiny and violence by having them in these integrated casts? It does not seem to be serving either side.
Yeah, I guess I could agree with you on that.
And like, on a petty note,
emotional violence, emotional labor, like, yeah, that's crazy.
So much labor, like every other time. Then you have to like do the tears, and you have to do the, and like we don't even have to talk about Ramona and how she just every time anything with politics or race or anything.
Like, well, it is so wild to watch her like spin up and out. It is like, and you're like, what the hell are you taking off, sis? Is this the like the flight plan? Like, Ramona is hysterical to me because she literally starts with the
literally, and I was just like, I don't. And honestly, as a dedicated Housewives viewer, I told y'all I've been watching Housewives since 2010. Okay.
Hello. I was watching Orange County. That was before 2010, wasn't it?
I didn't. Funny story. How I started watching Housewives is that I didn't have cable while I was in law school, so it was probably before 2010. But my friend had just had a baby, and she had like a really scary run-in with like high blood pressure, whatever, and she ended up having to go to the hospital. So I stayed with her in the hospital, and it was really nothing on. So I just turned on Bravo and I started watching OC, and that is how I started watching Housewives.
Me too. With the original cast, not class.
Correct.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I started maybe 2 seasons into OC, 2 or 3 seasons. It was like on a marathon, so she was kind of in and out. So I was like, well, I'll just watch this, whatever. And I was like, this is a mess. And so, but then I've been on the train, right?
Hooked ever since, honey. Mm-hmm.
But like as a person who,
OC.
Yeah, but as a person who like watches Housewives and loves Housewives, it makes me not want to watch.
I can see that. Understandably, considering that like these are things that you deal with in everyday life, right? Like, yeah, if you work in environments where they are immersed, which most places are nowadays, not unless you hit the jackpot. In terms of employment, you will at some point run into this foolery. And the irony is that it happens on both ends of the spectrum, in the sense of like, it's not always the women, sometimes it's the men.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can have a whole entire conversation about how Andy Cohen perpetuates all of this mess. And on Watch What Happens Live, and y'all know I watch, we talked about it before, but sometimes he just be, and on the reunions too, like really just digging in wound, like, and I get it.
That's like he did point. Monique.
Yes, like he did Monique. Like he really like digs in the wound, and I'm like, you don't, all right, Andy. And like there have been times where I'm watching and I'll actually tweet it like, okay, that's enough. Like we've exhausted that point. We don't need to dig. We literally don't have to go to people's white meat on every single topic. Like we don't have to do that, especially when it's something that is talking about their marriages or talking about their families or whatever. We don't have to do that every time.
Yeah, agree. What's the petty note though? I'm curious, man.
Oh, the petty note is I don't want my Black shows integrated either. I don't want them putting no random white ladies on my Potomac and on my Atlanta.
So, okay.
I know Atlanta started with Kim's
right. That's what I'm about to say. Because Kim was a key. When her and Nene was actually friends, that was fun.
Right. Kim was a key. Kim was a good time when her and Nene were friends. Once they fell out, it lost some of its shimmer for me. And on Married to Medicine, they even introduced Anila, who is of color but not Black, and it was clumsy. It felt clumsy to me.
I'm thinking, like, I don't know. I feel like Anila is feisty, but she just, I don't know if it's a good fit. So I'm with you on the clumsy.
And like the thing about it is, I think there was nobody remembers this. Nobody watched it except me. And I actually really liked it, but there was a Married to Medicine Houston that was integrated and I really liked it. But it was very regular. It was very normal. Yeah, but it was like they were very regular, normal folk. Kind of boring. It was boring. It was boring, but I liked it. I think Married to Medicine is boring anyway, but I still watch it. Because they don't be having mess, which is fine. Like and at the end of the day, like, listen, these people are actual doctors and they're actually trying to like have professions, and this money is like cute, but they make more outside of this, and they're not going to do nothing too wild to detriment
especially homegirl that's not on the show no more.
Correct.
Because she was living in a palatial palace.
So they're not going to do nothing to the detriment of their actual factual coins, and I'm fine with that. Right. But no, I don't want them introducing random white women and other women to Potomac. I like it.
Well, it's already never mind. Let me not say that.
You said what?
Nothing. That alcohol trying to she was trying to come on up out.
I mean, listen. Okay.
You know what they say, okay?
Potomac is questionable because there's a lot of whatever, but you know what I mean.
I'm like, I'm not gonna, because anytime I say stuff, people be like, but you yellow too. Okay, all right, well, all right,
fine. We okay, fine. But Atlanta, I don't want it. I don't want it. I like people being able to let their hair down and have a good time with the people that they like to let their hair down and have a good time with. That's what Housewives is about to me. It's not about educating. These women are not learning anything anyway.
No. What they probably are taking away from this is that Black women are angry.
That is correct.
And aggressive.
The audience, that is correct. Angry, the audience isn't learning anything. Yeah, and aggressive. The audience is learning nothing. Like you said, they're just taking away that Black women are aggressive, and this is why I can't, and this is why I don't. They're not taking it seriously. And they're also alienating those of us who really enjoy Housewives for a good time, because there's a bit of PTSD that's happening and a bit of just stress that happens when you have to watch Black women in those situations.
Mm-hmm. But okay, let me get this together.
Please do.
The thing for me, which is why I was stammering, it's just like it's frustrating because these are things that actually happen, even down to the workplace. So it's playing out in terms of like foolery and fiddle-dee-dee, as I like to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's playing out like that on television, but like the way that these reactions are going down between, the white castmates and the Black castmates is real life. And then people I feel like it's almost a disservice. Kind of like back in the day when we had Flavor of Love and all the women that were on this show, and how I remember I used to say to you all the time, like, I watch the show because it is mess. But at the same time, like after 2 seasons, I was like, it was Flavor of Love and then the Ray J version of it. And then I was just like, I don't like how this makes us look.
Yeah.
Because like the long lasting implications is that this is what Black women how we look and speak and act and operate. And I don't like that.
I don't either, but I feel like our Married to Medicines and our Potomacs and Atlanta Housewives, I feel like it's able to paint a more nuanced version of us. And there's something for everybody, which is what we're always saying is like, we're not a monolith. And I feel like by forcing them into these casts, it's like the Black representative. And it's just not, I don't find it helpful. I don't know who it's designed to serve.
I don't even think that it's designed to serve anybody. I don't know that it was even thought out that well in that way.
I feel like it was just like, okay, we can't have all of these separated casts. We have to start including some diversity.
Especially in New York City, like that's stupid. It should have been diversity from the start.
Well, that's the problem. There should have been diversity from the start, because when you have diverse casts from the start, that's a different conversation because you can kind of do that. But then you have rhony is like multi-generational. And then also they're trying, it's like, it's too much. It's too much.
Multi-generational, I would say multi-classes.
It's a lot.
It's a lot going on in rhony, especially with like, I mean, granted, Luann is no longer a countess, but like when the show started, she was very prim and prissy. And then as the show went on, she got divorced from the count. That's not so crazy to me. But like knowing at that time it was still all white women, and Bethany Frankel, and she just seemed like the odd man out. Like, why are you on this cast? Because she was so young, right? In comparison to everybody else, they had like teenagers or grown kids. And now like this is the trend that is happening with the Housewives series, is that these ladies have been on these shows for so long, because it's a check, but it's like it's time for y'all to like shake it up in ways that remove people, even though it was a little saddening and maybe even disheartening to see NeNe go the way that she did, because it doesn't seem that she left on her own accord.
Right.
I understand the need to kind of shake up the cast, but at the same token, I don't know that we want a whole lot of rah-rah, because it's supposed to be like wealthy women of leisure.
Yes, I agree. So, I think it can be done with the multi-generational, but it has to be like, I feel like almost how Karen has sort of accepted like the
Grand Dame.
She calls herself the Grand Dame. Apparently Giselle gave her that nickname, but she calls herself the Grand Dame or the Grand Dame. And she's Candace? Candace was like, oh, she's like my big sister or my auntie. Like she kind of embraces the role of like the elder statesperson, if you will. And that's sort of how it has to be. Like you can't have them just trying to run around with, so for instance, like Leah on rhony, like I'm just like, this Leah Ebony thing this is not jiving with the rest of these women who have had this really long friendship. That's the other thing. Them three, when they are against you, or when one of them is jumping out the window, Ramona, Sonia,
always jumping out the window. Well,
yeah, but like the way they gang up on people, even though they're like frenemies. But I feel like they've known each other for a long time, but they're frenemies. But they will gang up on you if one person if you come for one of the three.
Totally agree. You know what is what the hell was her name with the short blonde hair? It was like platinum blonde. She's not on.
Girl, this is my first season of rhony. I don't know.
Okay, well, never mind. I don't know either. I can't remember her name, but she was another one. Also white and wealthy. But yeah, like they would either all be against her or they would like be, you know, like you said, like ganged up, like the frenemies that they are. It's a wild time with this show, I'll say that.
Yeah, so I feel like they either need to, maybe they need to spin out some new casts, like on the lines of a Salt Lake City where it's more integrated by default. Or maybe they need to like kind of shake the cast up completely. But trying to integrate these pre-existing casts, I'm not saying like there should never be integrated casts. I'm saying like if that's your intention, then you need to go with it, do it with some intention. And don't be throwing, right, don't be just going to throw a random black woman in with these all white people who have established bonds and relationships. Like that's not fair, and it's not good for watching. It's not enjoyable to watch. It, like I said, can be re-traumatizing in some ways, and it's just not fun. It's not a good time, and it's not. I don't feel like there is any white woman who's watching like, oh my gosh, like, wow, they really mistreated Garcelle. No. So like, what is the actual point then?
Yeah, there isn't one.
There isn't one.
But you know what I thought about, ironically, while you were talking about like the integration and doing it well, was that one, they did do a Housewives of DC, and that had I think everybody was similar age, but it was maybe 2 Black women, I think it was a Hispanic woman, and some white women that were on, because that's the one where the couple tried to crash the Obama dinner.
Yeah, I didn't watch that season either.
It was interesting, but it didn't go well.
I think I watched one episode and I was kind of like,
I mean, it was boring until the scandal happened. So, but I guess they ended up turning that into Potomac, because basically they were of the same community, like the DC people. So, but anyway, I think we've kind of talked through this. Not unless you have anything else.
No, I do not. Follow us everywhere. Black and Curious on IG and YouTube, blackandcurious.com, Black and the letter N Curious on Twitter.
Toodaloo.